from ABC News. I'm Daria Albinger. Donald Trump is now a convicted felon. A New York jury finding the nation's 45th president guilty on all charges in his hush money trial. ABC's Aaron Katersky outside the courthouse.
An incredible verdict on this day in May, late May. The former president of the United States convicted as charged. 34 counts of falsifying business records. And as the crowd outside this courthouse found out, a big cheer went up from opponents of the former president.
The former president speaking outside the courtroom.
This was a rigged, disgraceful trial. The real verdict is going to be November 5th by the people.
The charges can carry up to 4 years in prison, but ABC's chief legal analyst Dan Abrams says it's not a given Mr. Trump will do time.
This is the lowest level felony in the state of New York. We talk about misdemeanors versus felonies, but there's also different levels of felony. This is a Class E felony, the lowest kind. Donald Trump has never been convicted of a crime before. I think as a result, it is unlikely, not impossible, that he would be sentenced to prison time in connection with this case. There are other options.
Two senior advisors to the former president say they aren't surprised by the verdict. ABC's chief Washington correspondent, Jonathan Karl.
Will those voters who have been solidly for him now reconsider whether or not they still want to vote for Donald Trump to be president of the United States again, now that he is a convicted felon?
Mr. Trump will be sentenced on July 11th. Two U.S. officials telling...
Live from NPR News in Washington, I'm Nora Rahm. A Manhattan jury today found former President Donald Trump guilty on all 34 charges that he falsified business records to cover up payments made to an adult film star on the eve of the 2016 presidential election. NPR's Quill Lawrence reports from outside the courthouse.
Trump is now the first U.S. president to be convicted of a crime, and he will presumably be the Republican Party's nominee for president this November as a convicted felon. Trump has called the trial politically motivated, and there's no clear sign it will discourage his supporters who rallied outside the courthouse waving flags. Sentencing for the former president is unlikely to include jail time, and he is expected to appeal. This is the only court case of several Trump is facing that is on track to conclude before the November election. Quill Lawrence, NPR News, New York.
After the verdict was read, Trump walked out of the courtroom and stopped to talk to reporters.
This was a rigged, disgraceful trial. The real verdict is going to be November 5th by the people. And they know what happened here, and everybody knows what happened here.
November 5th is Election Day, when voters decide on the next president. That result will have no bearing on today's verdict. Sentencing has been set for July 11th, 4 days before the Republican National Convention begins, and is expected to select Trump as the GOP nominee. Chief Justice John Roberts today declined